Hi Black Exoticals, welcome back to my channel. This is the Black Exotical. Today I want to talk to you about rejecting the thick label and why you should celebrate not being thick if you yourself are not a bigger girl. Now, before I start this video, I just want to preface by saying that this is in no way an attempt to body shame anyone or make anyone feel less than if you do happen to be full figured or thick. This is only to empower and encourage exotical women who have been shamed for having a smaller frame and for not being thick, essentially. I know that there are many exoticals who can relate, myself included. Growing up, we are often shamed if we are skinny, if we have a model-esque type of body, and if we simply do not have curves. And by the way, you do not need to have curves if you are in middle school or even high school. You are still technically a girl and you are still developing. Give yourself time to grow into your own shape and celebrate the physique that you were naturally born with. So, the Black community has this obsession with thickness where if you are fuller figured, you have curves, you are busty, you have especially a butt, you are considered more attractive. And if you are someone who is skinnier, you are kind of frowned upon and seen as less desirable. And a lot of times, this translates into bullying of the smaller girl. And even comments or people like family members even will say things like, oh, you need to put on more weight so that you can get a boyfriend. You need to eat more food so that you can get a boyfriend. You look like you're starving. You look like daddy long legs, things like that. And if you are a young girl who has only been exposed to the Black community and the dynamics of the Black community, or maybe you identify with your Black side more than your other side, this can be really traumatic for you if you do not if you do not have the ideal physique because, well, you simply don't fit in. And we know what happens when you don't fit in, quote unquote, in any community, but especially in the Black community. Just want to encourage you to not feel bad about how you look if you are a slimmer woman. Maybe you are a slimmer woman who has a bit of curves as you've grown up and kind of filled into your shape. Maybe you have a model-esque type body, so you look like Naomi Campbell, for example, or whatever, anything in between. You really do not need to aspire to be thick. I know, like, growing up, I would hear about girls taking what they call chicken pills to help them sort of fill out, or they would have this unhealthy obsession with going to the gym and trying to build a booty. Some girls even get BBLs where they have super skinny legs, but then they go and get surgery to have a really huge butt. And you know what? I am not anti plastic surgery. I totally support doing whatever it takes to enhance yourself if it will make you feel happy and if you're doing that from a healthy conscience. But really trying to go through the look Olympics, if you will, to try to appease to a community that does not even care for Black women is where I draw the line. And the Black community seems to be the only community that celebrates thickness as the main image of beauty. And again, this is not to shame anyone who is plus size, like, do you? Um, but to those of us who are not, other communities typically celebrate and expect women who have fit physiques and smaller physiques because it quite simply presents better in social settings. So, for example, if you notice in more elite circles, in circles where they have a higher socioeconomic status, you can do a simple test of this and drive to the rich neighborhood in your area and just look at the women in the neighborhood. Look at the women in the grocery stores, in the shopping mall, the women who are walking their dogs. They are all slim. And then when you look at the women in the lower class neighborhoods, if you will, they are all bigger women. So having a thick physique, honestly, is more so desired by men who can't afford who are poor. It is more so desired by either rappers, maybe athletes, and men who are poor, men who have a lower socioeconomic status. And even the rappers, as soon as they come up and they get to the place where they want to be financially and they acquire fame, and the athletes, they're not checking for the big girls anymore. They want the models. They want what the wealthy white men get, which is women who are in shape. So if you are an exotical listening to this, regardless of age, and you've always been shamed and felt bad for being smaller and not being thick, go to where your image is celebrated and you will find better success. At the end of the day, you should not be placing your self-worth on a community who has the lowest collective socioeconomic status in all of North America, to be quite frank, all of the West, to be honest. You should, as I've said before in other videos, be using your pretty privilege and to get your exotical tag so that you can move up in life. The objective should be advancement, social climbing, so that you can have a better quality of life. And if you desire to have children, you can, by extension, offer your children a better quality of life. And a part of that is taking your physique, if you will, your appearance, and going to a community where that's celebrated. And then by extension, those communities also happen to have higher socioeconomic statuses. So when you end up being paired with someone from that community, being friends with someone from that community, you end up benefiting in the end. Second point that I wanted to make on this is that having a higher weight is associated with having a greater chance of accumulating health issues. When you have a higher weight, excess weight promotes things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and even more so for exoticals who have African heritage. You are more at risk of developing fertility issues. And maybe you're thinking, well, I don't even want to have children, but fertility is not only about whether or not you can have kids. It's about your cycle. Essentially, your cycle is known as the sixth sense. It tells you, pretty much, it's a marker of your overall health, and it will show you where you need to improve upon in your health. And when you have excess weight, especially around your midsection and in your breast area, that can throw your hormones off and, for example, give you estrogen dominance. And when you have estrogen dominance, a lot of times, and this is prevalent and rampant in the Black community and with exoticals who have African heritage, you end up developing things like fibroids, PCOS, polyps in your uterus, painful heavy periods. Some women have absent periods completely, breast lumps. And when your body is constantly in a state of excess, you can be at risk of developing things like cancer later on, which is also quite high with women of African descent. So it's being at a healthy weight. And I know I hear people say things like, well, you can be bigger and still be healthier than the skinny girl. And in the grand scheme of things, we all know that that is not true. That is honestly just an excuse to not take ownership of your health and stay big. Okay? You will always benefit You will always benefit from losing excess weight and maintaining a healthy weight. Any healthcare provider will tell you that. It is in your best interest to lose excess weight if you have it and to maintain a healthy weight so that, again, your hormones will be at a greater risk, a greater chance of being balanced, and you will not develop any diseases associated with being overweight or being obese. Furthermore, when you're at a healthy weight, you get more opportunities in life. Society typically respects people who are not overweight. That goes for both men and women. Okay, like it is when you have a healthy weight and you're able to maintain that, especially like when you're in your 20s and 30s and your metabolism begins to slow down and you can no longer get away with just eating whatever you want, people will respect you more when you are at a healthy weight because it's a symbol of self control. And that is something that society lacks in general. So when you are someone who appears to have some level of self control, you will be respected more. And then by extension, you will get more benefits, whether it's getting promoted at work, whether it's being scouted for modeling, whether it's getting moving up in the pageantry industry or getting hired for some jobs over other people who don't fit that mark. You stand to benefit. Even just in everyday interactions, the types of looks that people who are overweight get compared to people who are healthy, like you can see it in people's faces that they respect and value health over being overweight. And you are someone who has dealt with bullying, being shamed, and you kind of have some sort of trauma with being the slimmer girl and being picked on and made fun of, let me know like how you maintain your weight. What is your fitness routine? Do you have a diet that you follow? If you are trying to lose weight, like what are you trying to do? What is your routine to keep your weight down and to attain a healthier lifestyle? Let me know down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.